If you've ever noticed that you can scroll for hours, but the moment you try to focus on something important, your brain suddenly feels foggy, restless, or strangely tired, you're not alone. You sit down to work, you open the tab, you tell yourself, okay, just start. And somehow, 5 minutes later, you're checking messages, refreshing a page, or watching something you didn't even plan to watch. It looks like a distraction. It feels like laziness. And a lot of people quickly label it as a focus problem. But what most people don't realize is that this behavior is rarely about attention. It's usually about something much deeper. Because when people say they can't focus, what they often mean is that their mind refuses to stay in a place that feels psychologically uncomfortable. And the brain is very good at escaping discomfort. Not obvious discomfort, like pain or stress, but subtle discomfort. The kind that shows up when something feels uncertain or when the outcome might reveal something about you. Think about the moments when focus disappears the fastest. It's often when you're about to start something that matters, writing something important, studying for an exam, working on a project where the result actually means something. Suddenly, your brain wants to do anything else. Check something, organize something, watch something, anything that feels easier. On the surface, it looks like procrastination, but psychologically, something else is happening. Because focus requires you to stay inside uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable mental states the brain experiences. When you focus, you're sitting inside questions like, what if this isn't good enough? What if I fail? What if people judge it? What if this proves I'm not as capable as I thought? Most people never consciously hear those thoughts, but the brain feels them, and when it does, it quietly searches for an exit. Distraction becomes that exit. Scrolling gives quick stimulation, notifications give quick validation, small tasks give quick completion. Your brain moves toward things that give immediate psychological safety and away from things that expose you to uncertainty. But here's where it gets interesting. The real reason many people struggle to focus isn't lack of discipline. And it isn't lack of intelligence either. It's identity protection. Because the moment you truly focus on something meaningful, you also create the possibility of discovering your limits. If you never fully try, the mind can always keep a quiet excuse. I could have done it, I just didn't really try. That belief protects the ego, but true focus removes that protection. When you commit your full attention, the result becomes real. And reality can be uncomfortable. So the brain keeps you hovering in half focus, not fully working, not fully resting, just switching between stimulation. It's a strange psychological middle ground, and the modern world makes this even easier. Every platform, every notification, every endless feed is designed to pull your attention outward. Not because you're weak, but because the brain naturally follows relief, quick novelty, quick reward, quick emotional escape. So what people often call a focus problem is actually a protection pattern. Your mind is avoiding situations that feel psychologically exposing. Not because you're incapable, but because the brain prioritizes safety over performance. And once you start noticing this pattern, something shifts. You begin to see that distraction isn't random. It appears at very specific moments, right before something meaningful, right before something uncertain, right before something that might reveal something about you. And when you see that clearly, the behavior suddenly makes sense. Your brain wasn't broken, it was protecting you. Once you notice that pattern, it's hard to unsee. And that awareness alone quietly changes how you understand yourself, because what looked like a focus problem was actually a psychological pattern all along. If this explains something you've noticed in yourself, there's always more to uncover. Sometimes the most important patterns are the ones we've been living with for years without realizing they were there.